All right, so I've been a bit reluctant to film this topic and this video, but what it's going to basically be is how to train your mind as well as your central nervous system to pretty much be in like a life or death mentality, but apply this to working out. So I know I hear a lot of times people will say they lose motivation in the gym, and this video is going to be specifically focused on working out, but I guess you could apply kind of the same mindset to other areas of your life if you wanted to have that life or death mentality. What I'm going to talk about here, it's extremely effective. It is extremely productive. You will get insane results, but the caveat is that you do not want to stay like this all the time. You want to be able to, like a switch, flip it on and be in that for an hour during the day when you want to work out, or maybe there's some sort of other activity that you're doing and you can flip it on. But the key is to have it on for maybe an hour while you do that thing, and then you flip it off and you go back to, you know, abundance, presence, because ultimately this mindset of life or death, and just like having a gun to your head, it's super effective, but in the long run, if you stay in it like that, you're going to get super contracted and you are going to get super competitive, and ultimately you'll burn yourself out. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was in this mindset of life or death, or you can call it survival. Like I'll call it survival mode. Let's turn that off there for a second. I'll call it life or death. I'll call it survival mode. It works great, but what happened to me was I was in it for too long. I was in that mind state for probably about 6 years, five or 6 years. And at first I got a lot of stuff done, but I started burning out and I wasn't sure why. And I was like, I just don't feel the same way that I used to be. And I was just so contracted in that kind of fight mentality that I burned myself out. And I finally figured out what it is, probably, you know, recently within the last 6 months or so. But it was really messing me up because I didn't know why I was getting burned out. And ultimately that was the main reason why. So use it to your advantage, but don't stay in it for long periods of time because you don't want to end up like how I did. Anyway, so when we look at the example, right, of going to the gym, let's say, okay, I go to the gym, but then when I'm in there, a lot of this is going to apply to, okay, you're already in the door in the gym, right? You're already in there, but now you need the motivation to lift that heavy ass weight. You see anyone that can lift a lot of weight, guess what? It's not easy, right? They're going to put themselves under a tremendous amount of pressure. They're going to put themselves under a tremendous amount of aggression, energy in order to get to that point. You're no different than anyone else. There's a cool saying, everyone is cut from the same cloth. So everyone has, well, number one, everyone's a human, right? Everyone's a mammal. Everyone is a person, and no one is different in that regard, right? We're all the same. We all have 2 hands, 2 feet, you know, eyes, a nose, ears, mouth. That's all the same, a brain. And so then why are some people able to, let's say in this case, in the gym, able to lift a ton of weight? Well, this key here of the life or death is really important. Now, what's going to end up happening when you pretend, like what I want you to do is when you go into a really heavy lift, and what comes to mind here is stuff like deadlifts, bench press, squats, bent over barbell rows, something where you're using a lot. I wouldn't really use this technique when I'm going to do like a bicep curl or something like that. In that case, I would almost be more in like almost like a meditative state, and just like a very clear, like kind of focus and kind of just in the zone. But for the big lifts, you want to basically pretend like, let's say, you know, a good example is, let's say you have like a girlfriend or a wife, and you're at your house. Pretend like there's a masked gunman that has just broken into your house, and you have to do whatever it takes to, you know, keep yourself and your significant other alive. Right? Start thinking that right before you're going in to the deadlift, or right before you're going into the bench press or the squat. As you get really, really good at this, it's going to fire your central nervous system so quickly, so aggressively, that I can tell you for sure you're going to get so much more on your lifts. Now, Of course, a lot of going into improving lifts is getting overall strength in other areas of your body, as well as improving your technique, as well as just adding more muscle mass or just more weight in general to your body. And there's a bunch of other things also as well, nutrition and recovery and a ton of stuff. But this survival technique, this life or death technique, works really great, again, for major compound movements where you need to move a lot of weight. So next time you're in the gym, try that out before you go into a heavy lift, and hashtag survival lifting, hashtag life or death lifting. And I've heard a couple people also talk about this, like former strongmen, that they use this technique. And ultimately, if you want to get to an insane level of strength, you're going to have a lot of aggression. And the best way to do that is literally training like your life is on the line. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes. And remember, only stay in it for brief periods of time. You want to get really good to where you can switch it on, get what you need to do done, switch it off, go back into presence and an expansive mind state. Hope that helps, and I'll talk to you guys very, very soon. I'm out.